Okay, recording this video after close of trade Tuesday, 1st of May 2012. Just before we get to the charts, quick announcement. For some reason, the updates that went out over the weekend on Monday weren't distributed by email and RSS. I use a service called FeedBurner to do that, and for some reason there must have been some kind of glitch at that end and they didn't get distributed. So apologies for that. I've tried to resync everything. Hopefully this video update will get kind of distributed okay. All I can say is, these things happen. Come back to the site, bookmark it, and check if you don't see something for a few days. Yeah, hopefully things are kind of fixed. It's one of those things I just kind of assume is working and automated at the back end and just happening. So thank you for the couple of emails that I got from people just telling me that they'd not received anything. Okay, let's get to the charts. Well, Monday we had the end of trend signal kind of go off on the daily chart. We've got exhaustion buying up here. I said after Monday's trade I thought we'd kind of poke through. We're so close to this kind of exhaustion level up at kind of 1420 that we'd make a move for it, try and run some stops. Today's activity was really kind of quite explosive on the upside and actually showed some stops at 1402 and 1403 being run, and then we kind of massively went up and then kind of collapsed by the end of today. But what I've been looking for on this kind of sequence to form this top is an end of trend sequence on the 45-minute chart, which we got here. Pullback level printed a little bit late. I mean, really should have printed kind of down here, but that's the nature of the indicator in the algorithm. So we got that pullback to end of trend sequence. We've also got that exhaustion buying, so we bottomed out with exhaustion selling. Bullish divergence kind of comes in, we go run for the upside. Now on the upside we've had kind of price make an end of trend move. We've had our exhaustion buying on this time frame, so I think we're going to test back up to see a bearish divergence before this thing kind of potentially rolls over. But as like I said, 1410 up here today at the highs, and we're close to that 1420 level. I'd be surprised if we didn't try and make a run for it. So let's kind of wait and see. On the daily time frame, a lot of the indices have started to roll over. So this is the Dow. We've got that cyclical turn. This is after we've had our pullback to end of trend and our bearish divergence and so on. Still quite high levels in terms of buying, and you can see that on the daily chart. Here we had an exhaustion buying signal. It wasn't a flush pattern, which would be kind of somewhere less than the exhaustion pattern. So still shows quite a lot of buying. So we've got to put in those kind of secondary bearish divergence signals kind of close to the zero line. So let's see how weak the buying is up at these highs and whether that's kind of profit taking going forward. So Dow, we've got cyclical resistance kind of come in here. Russell, same thing, cyclical resistance came in after today's trade. No volume data on the Russell, that's why better momentum doesn't show here. This is the S&P, pullback to end of trend as you'd expect, similar to the E-mini chart. And here's NASDAQ. So NASDAQ's got a couple of days to run here before that top's kind of put in. The Apple kind of market is kind of interesting at the moment, that we're kind of just kind of testing down on amateur down bars, and it's finding it very difficult to get back up through 600. So let's see what Apple does. If it kind of breaks through the 570, 580 type levels, kind of that'll be a sign that there's just a lack of participation in that. In terms of average trade size, it's very high both on the morning's trade and the afternoon's trade here on the 135-minute chart, and you can see average trade size kind of helps us mark areas where the professionals are active. So let's wait and see. The low of today is kind of critical, 1390. If we kind of break through there over the next couple of days, then this whole sequence will just show kind of professional profit taking and just profit taking, and the market will start to reverse. Now, in terms of the long-term charts, and this is where I think the posts over the last couple of days has been really useful. So this left shoulder, when I did the video post on the weekend, this left shoulder was marked by an end of trend on the 13,500 tip bar chart here. This is Friday's activity on this time frame. So that was, this, you see this sequence so often in the way kind of trend moves kind of play out. So the left shoulder is being marked on the 13,500 tip bar chart. Then we kind of sell off and we're caught by a pullback level in the highest time frame. This is Monday's activity here, and that move down, cyclical support area, will be a trend move in the lowest time frame. So you go down 2 time frames to the 4,500 tip bar chart, and this is Monday's activity, pullback to end of trend. After exhaustion selling, bullish divergence kind of comes in. We test here, have a little spike down, bang, that set off the rally for today. So pullback to end of trend, on the lower time frame there, syncing up with the cyclical support area on the 40,000, the highest time frame tip bar chart here. And then we put in a pullback to end of trend sequence today, and it marked the top beautifully. And on this time frame, 40,500, this is a flush pattern here. So we've had our exhaustion selling and bullish divergence and flush patterns here on the downside, up at down at 1350s. That kind of marked the low. We got run to the upside, have this trend move now that's now been marked by a flush pattern pullback to end of trend sequence here. I suppose I would have liked to have seen an exhaustion buying signal here on the left shoulder. The exhaustion buying kind of happened to get this move going, so I still think we're going to play around a little bit. So let's see if this is kind of all over for the time being, but it's important, that sequence, that you can judge the left shoulder, the pullback level, and to the end of trend kind of sequence here over the last couple of days using better sine wave. In terms of my trading on the 1500 tip bar chart, because of yesterday's activity, I had this kind of long bias. So yesterday we put in a pretty low range day, and we put in all these exhaustion selling signals, bullish divergence, Rambo patterns kind of spiking kind of down here, and overnight we had pullback to end of trend, but there was no kind of exhaustion buying or anything like that. So I had a long bias kind of going into the day. I got long at 94 before the ISM numbers kind of came out, but then exited at 93.5, just because it started to weaken, and the market was incredibly quiet just before those ISM numbers came out. So as soon as the numbers came out, the market went ballistic. So all I could do was just jump on at 96 and rode it up to 1401. I stretched my target out from 4 points to 5 just to try and catch up on that half-point loss on the first trade. But of course, this thing just went and went, and I thought I was being smart by getting out at 1401 because previous highs had been at 1402 and 1403. We got a little bit of weakness around those kind of levels at 1402, 1403, but as soon as we went through that, bang, we just kind of took off. And it didn't make a kind of classic pullback to end of trend. We had all these bearish divergence signals kind of come in here. It was so kind of explosive and kind of overextended. Pullback level didn't hold, and we just broke through the pullback level here. So on the 1500 tip bar chart, we've got to make pullback to end of trend here. We've had our exhaustion selling on the downside and bullish divergence kind of come in. So tomorrow morning, expecting us to make some kind of bottom and then test kind of back up. So let's see what happens there. So an interesting day, kind of shows that kind of explosive kind of overshoot. So that kind of activity we tend to see at highs. So let's wait and see if this is an important kind of turning point. But things are starting to look interesting. Anyway, hope you traded well today. 94 even, long 94 even. Just checking my stops and targets. A little bit late into that trade, should have gone in at 93.50, but reason for getting in bullish, cyclical support, 1500 tip bar charts kind of coming after the open. We had blue professional bars kind of coming down here, just kind of overshot the support level by a fraction on 500, and blue professional bars kind of come in and break the high of that. So we got this kind of thing kind of going, got this kind of bullish bars today, very little activity overnight. So a little bit of exhaustion. That just shows that people are anxious to get onto this move. So hopefully we'll break above 94, go for a little bit of a run. A minute later, here we go. Started to run up to 95.25, and this is kind of flipped around on better sine wave on 1500 tip bar charts. So we've got a little bit of time because this will need to make a hook. And then into resistance. So targets at 98, which is just below the just above the high, kind of pre-open overnight. So it's an okay place to be. Exhaustion pattern. So it's not going to turn around until we get bearish divergence. So cyclical resistance will come in here. Hopefully, we'll break into an uptrend above 500. So let's see. Okay, we've got resistance coming on the 500 tip bar chart, and this little push down. Blue professional bar kind of comes in, then amateurs testing down at 94s, exhaustion selling, here we go, kind of breaking back up. So that was just a little kind of test back down. We've got this little loop in now on the 1500 tip bar chart. Need to break above here, go for a little bit of a trend run. Come on. Here we go, another test back down, amateur bar here. Another kind of exhaustion pattern, they're kind of bigger and bigger. So we've not got divergence, bearish divergence signals yet. So hopefully we'll break up above this 95.5 resistance level into an uptrend. Here we go, 95.5. It's really slow and quiet. We've got ISM coming up at 9, so it's 15 minutes away or more. So let's see. A couple of minutes later, we kind of tested back into 94. Support's going to come in here. Wasn't blue professional bars on the way up on 1500. It's kind of on the way down. So still holding out for a breakout to new highs, but obviously we're just waiting for this number to come out at 350. Out at 350 for a loss of a half. So it's not kind of going to plan. We're underneath resistance here on 1500, so we didn't break above the high of that blue professional bar. So let's see, it's 8:49 a.m. 96 even, long 96 even, and just had ISM numbers come out. Just checking my stops and targets. Rambo patterns into 92s, and then just went explosive flush pattern here. So if I kept on holding my original long trade at 94, almost be out, but let's see, it must have been a good number, so let's hold on. A minute later, we're now breaking up to 99s, targets at 1400, and just moving that up to 1401. Got a half point to make up on that first trade, so 1400 is going to be an important kind of psychological level. Got our exhaustion kind of buying patterns kind of going on here, but see, hopefully we'll just get pushed out. It's got really really quick and noisy right now, which is nice. Here we go. Out of 1401. Finally got there, good. The reason to get out 1401, quite happy with that, because I know previous 1402, 1403 was area of kind of resistance, so we've got exhaustion buying kind of going on here, flush patterns and so on. Well, it's kind of keep you on going, but that's fine. So that's for 5, which is good. Loss of half point on that first trade. So 4.5 after 2 trades, 9:05 a.m. And I don't know. I'm kind of glad I got out where I did get out, but the entry was messy because of the noise around that news and news announcement. Good.